I teach high school steel band for a living, and became interested in world music and music in general through my sort of arts-centered upbringing. Well, my time in school was exciting in terms of the arts. You know, I remember really specifically in 5th grade, the day before we got our band instruments, I was excited like beyond belief. I couldn't sleep, and I played the trombone. I was, you know, my parents were super supportive, and when it came time for band, instead of saying, "Would you like to do band?" they said, "What instrument would you like to play?" So I picked the trombone and enjoyed that for a few years at Piqua Catholic Elementary School. And then when the time came for me to try something new, I decided to play drums in about 7th grade and began that journey. Well, high school with the arts was, it was magical, I guess. I went to Wendeln Catholic, and we had not only band opportunities with marching band, with you know, competition marching band. We were coming up with these shows every year and learning them. I got to be part of the drum line, which was just really exciting for me, not only because I loved it and I was pretty, you know, I was pretty good at it, I guess, and got to lead the way and, you know, kind of become a leader in the drum line in high school. I also really enjoyed show choir. I didn't sing and dance, but I played drum set for the show choir, and that opportunity was really beneficial. I got to see sort of the behind the scenes on theater productions. I got to be in the pit for musicals and things like that, play with singers and with the sort of bigger production, and, you know, I fell in love with it. Well, my next step was Miami University. My parents were both alumni, and so it was pretty natural, I guess, for me to go there. I did benefit greatly from the tutelage of Mike McKinley. He was a Piqua guy who was a few years ahead of me in school, and I got connected with him because of drum lessons and me switching instruments in the band. And Mike McKinley was a phenomenal teacher. I mean, he got what I needed. He understood how to sort of talk to me and do all those things, and he helped me get into Miami, not only musical, but I got into the drum line at Miami and got to do college marching band, which was a lot of fun. And those experiences from Piqua were just huge. Thanks. I guess at Miami, I should say, the world music caught me by surprise. I didn't realize I'd be so interested in world music, or, I mean, I knew I liked drums. Then going into music for a career, I was thinking a music education degree made sense, so that's what I was pursuing. And I liked playing, you know, I liked drums. I liked the idea of getting ready for a performance and getting nervous and then succeeding, hopefully, in a great performance, and that relief was always just so huge for me. So I kind of got into world music with Miami. They had opportunities for African dance, they had African drumming and dancing, they had opportunities for Brazilian music, we had opportunities for Japanese taiko drumming, and all these amazing things that I sort of was expanding my palette, I guess. Yeah, so after Miami University, I experimented with looking into finding a teaching job, but it seemed like the idea of going to grad school made sense for me at the time. So I tried Eastern Kentucky University. They have a really well-known percussion program, and so having a few folks from Miami recommend it, I was able to study with Jason Kuntz, who's a fantastic percussionist down there, and explore my world music obsession even more. He's a big Brazilian drummer, and we actually even were able to go to Brazil. I spent a couple weeks learning drumming in Brazil, which was just mind-blowing. I did. Graduated from Eastern Kentucky, got my master's degree in music performance, thinking that I would find some sort of percussion job somewhere. You know, there's a lot of folks who go this route, end up, you know, at high school where they're not the band director, but like a percussion assistant or something. So that's kind of what was in my head. But I knew that there was this nagging feeling that I should teach steel band. The steel drum was something I learned at Miami and then also pursued at Eastern Kentucky. And that idea of the steel band experience with all these people in a room, percussion going, drum set going, I was in love. You know, I was in love with that. And so hoping I would be able to teach that someday. The steel drum is quite a creation. You know, it's only been around for 70, 80, 90 years, but it's a magical sound. It's a sound unlike any other instrument. For a drummer like me, I could go up to a steel drum and make a nice sound on the first day, and that is amazing. Most instruments, don't sound great your first day. Most singers don't sound great the first day. Most of the things out there don't. And so, I had a little skill doing this, but I didn't necessarily have nearly as much musical skill, playing the ABCs of music. And so that steel drum immediately gave me positive feedback. I was able to kind of find my way around it pretty smoothly, and being able to be as part of those musical moments in a notes kind of way instead of just a rhythms way was it for me. So the makeup of a steel drum is a 55-gallon oil drum originally, and so the ones you generally see are shorter, so they've been cut down, but then that flat round surface top has been beaten down with sledgehammers and huge metal balls and things that they they call it sinking, so they sink the top of the drum into this bowl shape. And so that takes 8 to 10 hours of manual labor to do this. These are things that I can't do. I revere the folks who can do them. But beyond that, then it takes smaller hammers, and they're deciding which note goes to where, and then they're making the note size exactly perfect so that you get that precision tunability to make the A flat sound exactly like A flat and the F sounds exactly like F. And then that surface is generally chrome plated to kind of give it some extra strength, and then those little sort of bubble zones, each note becomes sort of a rounded little panel, and those panels make the beautiful sound you hear. So a lot of folks who have heard of the steel drum, or who maybe have not heard of the steel drum, think of the one person playing on a cruise ship. And you have that idea in your head. What I was exposed to in college was the full steel band experience. And so a steel band could be 10 to 20. We had about 20 or 25 in college, all the way up to 100 players in these enormous bands. And it doesn't just have, these bands don't just have the one instrument, often called the tenor pan. They'll have tenor and double seconds and the guitar and the bass and all of these steel drum voices like an orchestra would, and violin all the way through the bass. So these steel orchestras, they sometimes call them, are 25 or more people playing, everybody on a steel pan, and then usually like a drum set player or something, kind of keeping stuff together. So if you were playing the bass steel drum, they often call it the 6 bass. You can imagine 6 full-size 55-gallon barrels surrounding the person. And these barrels surround the person, and you kind of see them spinning around and playing in all directions, all of the different notes being on different drums around. So besides the bass, in one of the bands I teach in high school, for example, would have bass, and they would have the guitar pan. So the guitar pan is made out of 3 barrels, and you can kind of imagine maybe cut halfway, so they're maybe 15, 16 inches deep. And so you'd have 3 of those, and so you kind of need to master where all of the notes live within the 3 giant circles. That's called the guitar pan. Sometimes they call it the cello. It's just exactly the same connection to the orchestra. Beyond that, the next would be double second, they call it, and you kind of see 2 of what you might think of as a normal looking steel drum, 2 shorter pans that are maybe 10 inches deep, and each of those, again, the notes are now smaller, and so they can kind of fit more in each drum. And so that drum is made out of 2 pans, and then you can finally get to the highest pitch of any of them, which is often called the lead or the tenor, and that is just all within one drum. Like you maybe, I think when people see the steel drum, they think of that one first, the one drum. I had the opportunity to teach steel drums in high school, and so it's steel band class. And so throughout my day, I'm getting 5 or 6 hours of different sets of students coming in and working with them to try to improve their musical knowledge. A lot of them have never played before. So I got to immediately figure out what it was like to teach from beginner to the advanced all in one day. And I suppose this isn't that weird for some band directors who have a beginning band and then like their advanced band later in the day or whatever. So that experience of teaching all the different levels was really exciting to me. In fact, it led me to write a textbook for steel band. So I actually wrote a method book that teachers can use in the classroom, basically because I felt like it didn't exist, and it felt like it made sense to try to put some of these ideas down. I had that unique the unique perspective of almost 10 years of steel band teaching 5 hours a day. And so all of that sort of influx of knowledge and things that worked and things that didn't work sort of led me to, we now have a small little publishing company. We sell method books and sheet music. In all my years teaching in Florida, it seemed necessary to put together some sort of teaching resource book for steel drum teachers. A lot of us are walking in the dark a little bit, and perhaps you've been thrown into a steel band teaching job and you don't know as much about it, so you need some sort of resource. And maybe you just you have the knowledge and you just don't know how to get it in front of the students in a clear way. So slowly throughout my time there, I put together this teaching book. It ended up being almost 100 pages. It's almost hard to believe. I've never written anything that long in my life. But in addition to this method book, sheet music for steel band is sort of still a small field, and it felt like there was a lot of room to offer things to the steel band community, you know. So I have some friends who write great music, and I can use a computer and make it all look beautiful and get that sheet music thing happening. And so we just decided, my wife and I, to start a small little side publication business. My wife and I went to high school together. We went to high school together and also college together. You know, we weren't in the same graduating year, so I started at Miami in '99, and she started a year later. We both sort of reconnected with the marching band at Miami. Of course, we knew each other. We were in the Layman band together. But then throughout her time as a percussion major, I was also a percussion major in college at Miami, and so our paths were crossing in just about every class and musical event we were part of. She was part of the steel band, as was I, and I'm proud to say we are still part of steel bands together. So Trinidad is where the steel drum was invented. And so this country, Trinidad and Tobago, it's in the South Caribbean. That country each year hosts a thing called Panorama. Now it's the steel pan, and so Panorama is a little bit of a silly name, I guess. But the Panorama contest takes bands from all over Trinidad, and some of these bands have up to 125 people in the band. So you're talking almost like a city block worth of people coming down the street, playing together. And so that idea, you know, learning about this event was just exciting. In college, you know, we kind of wondered what it was like. This is before YouTube and stuff. And so when I did become a steel drum teacher, I thought, you know, I gotta eventually go and see this thing. And so 3 times actually I've been now to Trinidad and been able to see this event in person. In fact, I even got to participate with one of the smaller bands in 2015 and 2016. So getting to go to Trinidad and see the culture and be submerged in a thing, in a place where the steel drum isn't weird. You know, a lot of my friends around here who are band directors, you know, the band world and trumpets and clarinets isn't that weird, and I guess to me either, but the idea of just becoming immersed in steel drums in that culture where everywhere you look there's a different band rehearsing was amazing, mind-blowing. Why doesn't my high school have this? That's a great question. This art form is a bit tricky to start a program. Because you need these steel drums, which are hard to come by in many ways. They're a little pricey, but they're also difficult to find because you have to find a master builder to build them. So there are a few of these folks around the country, but often you wait a year or more to receive a drum that you've ordered. If you order a custom drum, or even a run-of-the-mill standard drum, it might take a whole year to get made for you. So this is one of the reasons it's tough to make this happen in a high school program. I was really fortunate to go down to this place in Florida, in Tallahassee, where they had about 25 instruments already. So they had this program up and running. During the course of me being there, we replaced some of the drums and you know, got rid of the old ones and improved and bought some new replacements. But every high school doesn't have this because it's kind of a niche specialty, I guess, at this point. I think the music that comes with steel band is really inviting for students. So I think a lot more places should have this. Should have a steel band option for their students. The instruments are generally live at the school, and so for a kid who may not be able to take a trombone home and practice at home, sometimes there's limitations on how much noise you can make at your house. So we see it all the time where students are so excited to be able to come to school and have that instrument and work on it while they are there, and go home and think about it, and then come back the next day and work on it some more. There's not a lot of cost to buy into it. So it's a great program to have, low cost for the student, if these drums can be found or the school can provide. Well, I think the first thing I remember, as far when I think way back, the first thing I remember is 5th grade band. I keep thinking of that moment. I couldn't sleep. It was like Christmas, the day before I picked trombone in my first year of band, and having that instrument in my possession and just like the possibilities, I guess. I'm getting to kind of embark on this new journey, this cool thing that I've got to try to learn about, was so exciting. I think I did all right in school outside of the arts. I know that throughout high school I couldn't wait till Wednesday night because we had band practice. I couldn't wait till that weekend where we had a band performance. My other subjects in school were fine, although you probably could find me during study hall looking through drum magazines and plotting my next adventure of what drums I might want to get next, something like that. Yes, I certainly, my parents have definitely been supportive. Not only when I originally majored in something other than music at Miami, and one of the science fields. And I think I probably did well in high school and I did okay, but that calling to music was never questioned. I said, hey, I think I'm gonna switch to this music major, and music education being the specifics, and nothing but support. From the very beginning, they were able to run me across town to drum lessons, or help me buy a new pair of drumsticks, or whatever I felt like I needed at the time. Always supportive. Those feelings of going to arts events, there's that magical feeling. It's a special occasion, and when it's happening in your own hometown, it's even more special. You are able to make a day out of it, or go see that performance, and maybe somebody is part of it. I always found that really exciting to be part of in a local way. Arts in the community have impacted me greatly. I know that seeing those performances and being part of even small performances throughout school gave me that taste of what it could be in a bigger setting, and the performance addiction, I think. I'm still hooked on performing, whether it's with my students now or whether it was in college at the specialty concerts that we did with percussion. Seeing some of that in your own hometown was inspiring. Well, a worth for the arts is obvious, especially in 2020. We are taking a step back in a lot of ways from performing in many places because of all the regulations that 2020 has brought us. But, having those performances and doing those events show the youngsters what is possible, and those magical moments in history, they stick with you. I can remember this performance or that performance from so many years ago when, maybe so many of the things in college have come and gone, but those moments of joy and community were super special. So I'm thinking specifically of a musical performance. As part of the Layman Limelighter show choir community, again, I played some drums for them. The moment I'm thinking of was in my senior year of high school. The spring show was a musical review, so each of the seniors could pick a song they wanted to do, and they had put it upon me to do something from Stomp. And so Stomp is, of course, the stage show where percussionists are playing music on all kinds of found objects like trash cans and brooms and all of those things. And so it was upon me to put together something with the 12 of us that would be like Stomp. And so I hope it came off well, but man, we had a lot of fun doing it. And so I got to teach a little bit in our little group there. I was in charge of this particular thing and given a lot of freedom. But being able to put on an event like that, not only for the school, for your school community, you're very excited for your friends to see what you've been doing. But then, have an event like that in the evening and all the parents are coming, those moments are special. I feel like I'm successful. I know some would say I'm just a high school teacher, but I would say I've got a lot of cool things happening. You know, like I said, I'm hooked on performing, and so my every day is me performing in front of a class as a teacher, but also getting to be part of the band. You know, I am lucky to have, 20 students, let's say, and by the end of a term, the 20 students and me are a band, and we've gelled together in whatever way we could, and we perform together. As part of the steel band, I generally play the drum set while all of the students play steel drums, and so I'm keeping the group together, kind of, and directing from there. And so I'm getting to play music as an adult. I'm getting to play music for my job, which is amazing. The arts and my involvement in the arts have brought me almost all of the friend groups that I've ever run with. In high school, the marching band, and being able to sort of meet some people who weren't of your own grade level was pretty huge for me. I wasn't super outgoing, but put some drumsticks in my hand, and I guess things changed a little bit. As part of the show choir in high school, I got to be part of yet another sort of friend group and sort of show off some of my talents that were growing at the time. And then, of course, college, you are with a lot of people of your same type as a major of something. And, I was a music major in percussion specifically, so, there are about 25 of us who are all of that same mindset, and a lot of us are still great friends to this day. My world without the arts, it's tough to describe. I feel like my entire creativity kind of comes out that way. I could draw a little bit as a kid, and that never really took hold, but something about music and performing took hold, and for me, I'm not sure what I would be doing without it. My advice to someone considering the same path as me, I would say go for it. If you're excited about this thing, playing music or really any form of the arts, keep doing it. That's the thing that someone told me, and it made sense to me at the time when I was trying to pick what I was going to do into college. They said, if you feel like you have to keep doing it, you have to keep doing it. So that piece of advice has stuck with me. I think for me, the value of the arts comes down to the value of the teachers I had, who were excellent. I feel lucky to have been part of some legendary band directors and choir teachers that came through Lehman, and those people, you could tell they were excited about it, and that made you excited about it. And so that kind of passing of the torch makes a lot of sense to me, it resonates, and so I think as I go forward as a teacher, that's one of the things I try to accomplish if at all possible.